The future has become the nightmare. Once the golden boy of Irish MMA, Ian Garry has thrown respect out of the window and embraced the role everyone loves to hate. Cocky, calculated, and arrogant. Ian Garry loves being the victim, and he becomes so delusional at times. He's a great fighter. He's good. But sometimes he's trying to be the good guy and the bad guy, so it just comes across being cringe. And then there's times like this where genuinely I feel like Ian Garry is delusional. So Ian Garry was on the Ariel Helwani show, and Ariel Helwani asked Ian Garry what he thought of when JDM basically told Ian Garry that his kid wasn't even his kid. And how that even started at the UFC 315 press conference, a reporter asked JDM what he thought of when Ian Garry was trying to get JDM to miss weight, and he did that by having his son put M&Ms around the scale, trying to get JDM to miss weight. And the reporter asked JDM, what did you think of this tactic? And basically JDM was like, I don't even think the kid is his. And so now we go to Ariel Helwani asking Ian Garry what he thought of JDM's reaction. And Ian Garry goes, it's immature. When I fight him, I am going to open up a whole can of irritation. And what's funny about this is that Ian Garry loves playing the both sides. And you can't really do that. He's trying to be loved, and then he's trying to be the heel. And it's crazy because when you start doing things like that, then it just comes across being cringe. And then when you say it's immature, and then you're trying to have this like high status of like, oh, I do no bad, I'm only good. But yet, Ian Garry says it's immature, but yet he wears a t-shirt with the mugshot of Jeff Neal's face on it. That's not immature, Ian Garry. He says it's immature for JDM to make that comment at the press conference, but yet he can completely ruin Neil Magny's life and call him a child abuser when all Neil Magny said was he was going to beat Ian Garry like how a father beats his son. He was just using a saying, it was just an expression. But yet Ian Garry takes that as, oh, Neil Magny abuses his child. So in this video, I'm just going to show you a couple of videos on where Ian Garry loves playing both sides, and he just becomes cringe at moments. And I've got a couple of videos where I'm just going to show you where the whole Ian Garry interaction, Neil Magny, what Neil Magny, like what he went through, and then most recently where we all have seen this video where Ian Garry basically goes after Joaquin Buckley because of his speech. But that's not immature, right? Let's not forget, he said it's immature of JDM to say those things about Ian Garry. You don't talk about my family. You don't talk about my kids. But yet, he can go after a man who was arrested. So this is a little back and forth of Neil Magny and Ian Garry. And I just want to show you this because this is like another like point that I'm making of where Ian Garry, he's just cringe. He's just delusional sometimes. And it's weird because it's like he's trying to be Conor McGregor. And yes, he has good wins and he's making a good push, for a title shot in the welterweight division. But it's not like he talks like he has like 5 knockout wins in a row. And this is just like where my problem with Ian Garry is.
And you'll sit there, you'll shut up and you'll do what you're told.
You can play victim all you want. You know what's going to happen Saturday night.
Let's go, drown him out. I want to hear you f***ing scream when he speaks, yeah?
Yeah, make sure you guys show up to carry him out.
Hey, honestly, shut your f***ing mouth. Don't dig a hole.
Ed, yeah.
Hey, don't dig a hole. Shut up.
Keep talking.
I'll f***ing talk all day long. On Saturday night, I'll jab you in the mouth and I'll break that f***ing nose.
I guarantee you won't. I guarantee I will slap the out of you.
Do it.
Down the mat. I guarantee you.
Mate, you get beat by everybody. You're going to try to mention of a born.
And so, yeah, like, you get the whole point. But, yeah, Ian Garry, he beat Neil Magny. Actually, it was pretty impressive, just leg kicking him the entire time. And it was a bad fight for Neil Magny, but like he talks like he knocked out Neil Magny in the first round. You know what I'm saying? Like Ian Garry's just so cringe. And then this is where, again, I like to keep bringing this up. He says, "Oh, it's immature." Where's Jeff Neal's, mugshot on a shirt? But this is where Neil Magny basically talks about like what it was like when Ian Garry kept going after him, calling him a child abuser, and like the effects on him.
Shenanigans. You've been doing this for a long time. You've experienced pretty much everything you can in this game. Has there ever been something comparable to that kind of leaking over into your personal life, like beyond the fight? Because I know like fighting to a degree is personal always, but that kind of went to a different level for you. Have you ever experienced anything even remotely close to that?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely was something I never experienced out.
Mind you, real quick, the entire lead up to this fight, like the entire week of fight week between Neil Magny and Ian Garry, literally, Ian Garry just kept calling him a child abuser the entire week.
Of course, my career, and I thought I experienced everything you could possibly imagine at this point when it comes to certain obstacles you will have in your way. I mean, I had to fight. I literally had to fly out the week that my first son was born to go to a fight. I literally had to miss my son's birthday for a fight. I mean, I literally had to endure the loss of my grandmother for a fight, the loss of my brother for a fight. I literally had to go through all these different lists of emotions over the course of my UFC career for the last 12 years now, and all these different things that came up, and I just had to like just find a way to deal with it and find a way to like make it through or whatever. But this past one was like really, really difficult, not because like what it did in the fight itself, but like what those comments meant for me outside of the cage, so to speak. It wasn't just a matter of like, all right, you win a fight, you lose a fight. It was actually no, like my ability to actually be the father I want to be the parent I want to be is actually at stake now based off of what someone perceived I was saying or whatever, and how they chose to spin it in the media. I mean, it was just.
And that's literally what happened. Ian Garry literally spun. He literally put words in Neil Magny's mouth that he did not say. But yet, I keep going back to this. He wants to make comments to Ariel Helwani like, "Oh, JDM, he shouldn't come after the family. If you're going to attack anybody, just attack me. Don't attack my kids. Don't talk about my kids. Don't do all this." But yet, Ian Garry himself, the man who is innocent, the man who loves playing victim, and maybe he does this just because he loves the heel side. He loves people talking about him. And here's another point. He wants to talk about being immature, but yet he goes after Joaquin Buckley, goes after all these people.
Joaquin Buckley barely speaks fucking English, and Sean Brady looks like he's out of Lord of the Rings. So no one gives a fuck about these guys. Neil Magny's soul. Here, look. There's his soul.
This is like what I'm talking about. What's like so cringe about Ian Garry, like why he's so delusional sometimes. It's like, dude, like you act like you knocked him out in the first round by a flying knee. Jorge Masvidal could do this about Ben Askren. Like here's his soul. I took his soul. Literally in 3 seconds, I hit him in the face with a knee. Ian Garry threw like 50 leg kicks. That's all he did. You didn't take someone's soul by leg kicking them. Like, what are you talking about?
You watched that fight, right?
I did.
Yeah, Neil Magny's never been the same since I took his soul. It's right there. He's in the bottom of my hand. I've got the whole of Ireland behind me. I've got Brazil. I've got fucking America in love with me and divided.
It's so cringe just watching.
I'm a fighter who fights the best in the world.
Another thing that I was going to show the video, but I was like, it's not worth the time, I guess. But it's like Ian Garry even had that moment where after he lost to Shavkat, he kept on acting like, "Oh my God, I beat Shavkat. I went toe-to-toe with the best in the world." But yet it's like, bro, you literally lost. You still lost. And yeah, it was close, but it wasn't like you went to war with Shavkat. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. Basically, he is delusional. He loves acting like the victim. And he says the most outlandish things sometimes. And I used to like Ian Garry a lot. And I still think he is a good fighter. And I'm not taking anything away from his skills. But he talks and acts like he's a top 5 fighter that is coming off of 5 knockout wins. He was the former lightweight champion. And he's fighting the welterweight. And he's about to fight he acts like that. He talks like that. And sometimes you got to be that to be a good fighter. You have to be delusional. But it seems like Ian Garry takes it to the level where it's just cringe. And then it's like, I'm watching him to lose almost. And it's crazy because he has great skills. He's very young. He could be a champion one day. But like, he does this like Colby Covington trash talk heel where it's like he's a hypocrite and he contradicts what he says sometimes. So yeah, basically, Ian Garry's delusional. That's the video. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next video.